Good morning, my beautiful ladies. Welcome to an episode for Lingerie and Lattes. I wanted to talk today about the difference that women and men are viewing in terms of the issue at hand and why that sometimes can be. So let me expand on this. Sometimes couples fight and one person is saying something and another person picks up the real problem. So why is it so difficult for women to be straight in their communication in a relationship and not be talking about kind of beating around the bush instead of just addressing the issue? So in my perspective, this is in alignment with how differently we just understand the world. And when a woman and a man walk into a room, they're going to notice different things. A woman might notice that the wall paint is peeling, and a man might notice that the handles need a replacement for the doors and everything. So in that idea, we think about how if you already see something differently, you might perceive issues in your relationship differently. However, it's still kind of the same subject. So let me try to bring this back to the analogy of the room. If you're both talking about the differences in the room, like the one person might notice, oh, the doorknobs need to be replaced, like the wall is, or I'm sorry, not the wall, the floor is crooked and needs to be repolished and whatnot. A woman might notice that the wall paint is peeling. She might notice that something is off with the lighting and all these like other perspectives. It's still the same room though. They're still discussing the same space. It's just through their eyes. So now let's bring that back into issues within your relationship. You might be seeing something one way and it's the same problem. Like let's say the problem is that your boyfriend or your husband, tends to go out with his friends on a Friday evening, and you would really prefer that to be shifted to like a Saturday evening because let's say your Fridays are a time where you could use the support of his presence, and Saturdays you're a lot more in the vibe of the weekend, so you don't really need that extra boost. So from one perspective, a woman might perceive that issue as not liking it when her partner goes out with his friends. Her partner, him, he might be receiving that as controlling, as somebody who wants to always know where he is and doesn't let him have his own space and all these things. So you see how the real cause of the issue has to be addressed, because if it is not, if let's say the issue is getting blown up as you're trying to control me and I never know where you are, you don't text me, why do you always never want to spend time with me and all these things. So that might also get attached to another situation within the relationship if that specific need for Friday evenings to be spent together is not addressed. Because as you can see, these outer lying issues, so if you think about like this kind of like a Russian doll setting, the inner issue of having Friday nights together is still going unaddressed, even if you say like, no, I don't mind it if you hang out with your friends, or okay, I can see that you're not really controlling me. So all these things can now get attached to another situation, like I just mentioned. Think about it. And let's say it's around the television, and like one person is getting upset that the other person is always picking the shows or like watching the movies and all these things. That could be another form of supposed control of what I should be watching. So, and then the in that specific scenario with the television example, the woman can again morph the same feelings of not having her issue addressed and say that he doesn't want to spend time with her. He always wants to be on the computer or on the television and all and so forth. So let me unpack this a little more. The whole idea of vulnerability is for women and men to understand their differences, understand what drives them, and be able to create connection from that place. Because the more we can drop into what it means to be alive and in this specific body and in this specific expression, I think it's just really an expression of energy, whether that be the masculine, whether that be the feminine. and wanting to nurture the differences between the two energies, allowing each of those differences to grow stronger and more pronounced, is actually going to strengthen a relationship. When I share all these reasons or ways people start to get into fights, I just always want to bring it back to learning maybe why that's happening. And the why could really be so simple as a woman, first of all, not really communicating clearly. I think we've seen that over and over and over again, that women tend to, when they try to speak their mind, it comes off maybe very passive aggressive. It can come off as a big explosion, which is again why I've called my movement Vulcanability, because for us, it's literally an eruption of emotions. And that lava can burn your partner because you're just trying to elicit a response at that point, a emotional response. So when we think about how we need to communicate to our partners, we first have to ask ourselves the deeper questions. What is it that's going to satisfy me? Instead of showing up to your partner with an issue and having never thought through any solution, even if you don't know what the solution is, having time to yourself and figuring out what would your ideal solution look like can at least help you and your partner be guided towards a resolution. If you don't know what your ideal solution is to an issue within a relationship, no matter what the other person attempts to do or proposes or does do for you, that might not feel satisfactory, or it might. It's kind of like it's a blind toss. So instead of going at this blindly, approaching your relationship through a clear understanding, what is my problem? How would I best like to resolve it? And then showing up to your partner saying, hey, I've noticed that this is starting to really bother me. Now, what I'm really looking for is this thing. Can we somehow work to incorporate this thing that I really need in order to address this issue, which is just weighing heavy on me? So again, let's take the example. So the example that we've been using, right? The Friday evenings and the Saturday evenings, the Friday evenings being preferred as a together time, and then Saturdays being do whatever. So the person might show up and be ready to speak through the issue with the person, saying, I really noticed that for me it's important to spend Friday evenings together because it's the end of the week. That's how I feel a lot more grounded. And Saturdays, I don't know if that would be too much of a hassle, but Saturdays I feel much more uplifted. I feel ready to take on the weekend and so on. So could you somehow adjust your time with friends, because I want you to have that too and I honor that. Can you somehow try to see your friends in the later part of the weekend and then spend a little bit more time with me at the beginning and at the end? Let's say you have to think through whether that new solution is going to give you any additional problems that you then want to address, because working through issues in a relationship could either be like taking care of a lawn that the weeds keep sprouting up, and then you finally resolve it so no weeds sprout up, or when they do, it's infrequent and you can just pull them out as they come along. The other solution is kind of like mushrooms. Like if you cut one out, another one will pop up, or like whack-a-mole or something. So we want to see whether, one, are we going to be satisfied with seeing our partner on the Friday evenings, and then they could do whatever they want on a Saturday, but is there anything else that would make this feel incomplete? That's another question you can ask yourself. And let's say it's, yes, I said that I wanted him at the start of the weekend, but really I also need him at the very end of the weekend. So I really need like these bookends of partner time, like a romantic just intimacy at the start and the end of my weekend, so that I feel like we've spent some time together and it sets me up for the week. So that could be a way that you communicate, instead of blowing up an entire issue that you're not being seen in your relationship, you're never spending time together, he doesn't want to spend time together, every free moment he gets, he spends it with his friends. These can all be ways that you can twist this problem and create more issues, create more damage with the lava that erupts, than if you can just think through your issue, what the resolution is, whether that will create any additional issues, how can this be incomplete, and then approach your partner for support and to execute this. And don't be presumptive. So this is another thing that a lot of issues can arise from, because the moment we think we know what our partner is going to say, or we've already thought, this is so common with women, we think we've explained everything in our minds because we've just had a conversation with our partner for the last 20 minutes, and we don't remember that was just all in our head, spinning thoughts. Meanwhile, your real partner, like right there in front of you, has pretty much no idea what you're talking about. So, being careful to check ourselves. How am I approaching this situation that's going to benefit me and my partnership? How am I seeing this as an opportunity for growth instead of a wedge between us, or something that can drive us apart? How can you reframe the experience you're going through? Because every relationship is going to have its growth, and the only way you're going to be able to grow is to be stretched into certain uncomfortable spaces. And the more you do that, the more comfortable you become with that experience, and it snowballs from there. So I really hope this has been helpful, and I can't wait to speak with you all next week. Have an incredible, magical Friday.